Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and this is a vlog of my late autism and ADHD diagnosis. I also have aphantasia, which is the inability to visualize in my mind's eye, and a memory disorder called SDAM, which stands for severely deficient autobiographical memory. And it's funny because I just remembered that I was going to try to start maybe doing some videos without my full intro, but since I did that really well in one take, we're just going to go for it. I know that people who are my longtime subscribers are like, oh my gosh, you say this every video, but we always have new people coming in. But I'm feeling like I've got it on the bottom. Maybe I don't need to explain it. But anyway, I digress. So today I want to tell y'all about an event that I went to this last weekend at the Portland airport. And it was really exciting. And I went through, just like a lot of autistic people do, I went through a lot of processing when I first heard about the event to, actually going. And so I want to talk about that a little bit too. In a previous video, I talked about autism organizations and how to determine whether or not a autism organization is one that you would like to align yourself with. And it's a very complicated topic because in the past, there were a lot of autism organizations, and they still exist, that do not really represent actually autistic voices. There's a lot of autistic organizations that are still trying to cure autism, which that is very outdated and very dismissive language, because autism is how our brains are developed. There's no cure. And if you removed, you can't, but if you were able to remove the autism from me, I wouldn't be the same person. I am who I am because of my autism and ADHD. So there are, like I said, organizations that still will talk about cures for autism, which to me, that is a huge red flag, and I would have nothing to do with that organization. And then there are organizations that still promote ABA therapy, which is applied behavioral analysis. And most actually autistic adult voices will speak out against ABA therapy. I do too. It is complicated though. I am very much against applied behavioral analysis therapy, because it is the equivalent of trying to dog train a human. The fundamentals, and it was also created by the same guy who created gay conversion therapy. So, that says a lot right there. But the idea behind it was to try to make autistic people behave and appear more neurotypical, which is very damaging for our brains. And so therefore this entire, they'll say it's science-based. Well, no, it makes neurotypical people's lives easier when an autistic person isn't autistic. That's basically what it comes down to. And so a lot of caretakers and a lot of people who are responsible for especially high support needs autistic people will be drawn to ABA because it's a way to get an autistic person to respond to stimuli. They will take away their special interest. They'll use it as a reward. There's they actually used to use shock therapy. And I have heard in my comment section that some places still do that, which is insane to me. And the reason why I said, again, it's very complicated is because it was in the 80s and 90s the only way to get help with autism. And if you have a high support needs autistic child, you as a parent need some outside support often. And because this was the first therapy developed for autistic people, insurances, of course, grabbed onto it. And so nowadays there are still some insurances that won't pay for other types of therapy. They will only pay for ABA. They will not pay for occupational therapy, which is a lot better type of therapy in my opinion. So if you are a parent who needs extra support and your insurance won't pay for OT, paying for OT out of pocket is just not realistic. I mean, being disabled costs more money in general. Just this morning on a message board, a general population mom's message board, not an autism specific one, this mom was saying, hey, is it like, are haircuts for kids actually $35 to $40 these days? Is this an actual realistic price? What? And inflation, right? Well, I'm hoping the trash truck that's outside my window isn't picking up on my mic, but if I pause, I'm going to lose my train of thought. So she was like, is this the actual cost? And I, because I'm learning that neurotypical people think that if you share a relatable story, it recenters the conversation. So I typed that in. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to steal your thread, but I actually have to pay $65 for a haircut for my son who's autistic because we finally found somebody that he can work with. Because he can't go to like supercuts because he needs the consistency of like the same person. And when you go into this walk-in salons, you're going to have a different person cut your hair every time, and he needs that consistency. And we've talked to our hairstylist, and she knows not to like tap him on his shoulders a bunch or like minimal. I mean, obviously you got to touch hair to do cutting, but there's a lot of hairstylists will put their hands on your shoulders while they're just talking to you, and she will cut out any extra touching because he doesn't like that. And oftentimes we can schedule her where she's the only person in the salon. So because of this, we spend more money on haircuts than what other kids, might be able to do. So that's just like one minor example that came up this very morning. Disability costs more because we often have to pay to bring our lives up to an equitable level as a non-bodied, as a non-disabled person, because most kids can just go into supercuts. And for people who are not in the U.S., that's just like a chain of hair salons that just have really quick walk-in appointments. So good. I'm trying not to get off track. I was trying to make myself a London fog this morning, and I over-whipped my cream, but it still tastes good. Anyway, okay. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, this event, an ABA therapy, and all this stuff. Okay. So, see, this is the process. This is what I go through. Anytime there's anything that comes up, like, I've talked about the book club that I went to. I was on their mailing list, their email list for a full year before I went because it took my brain that long to process whether or not I wanted to join this group. But this time I had a very short window because I found out about this event at the airport, and then I quickly had to decide if I wanted to go. So it was put on by the Autism Society of Oregon. And so I quickly wanted to look up and say, hey, do I want to attend an event by these people? And like I said, I didn't have very much time, so I did a quick perusal. And it's frustrating because now I think the first stuff that I came up against actually was some misinformation. Because the first thing I found that I really liked, there are actually autistic people on their board of directors. This is really good to me. They do not talk about curing autism. That's awesome, green flag. But the first information that I found was that they did support ABA. And then I found on a third-party website, not on their website, that the founder of ABA also started Autism Society. And now I can't find that link. I'm like, where did I read that? Did I make it up?
Okay, since filming, I decided to look up a little bit more information. Avar Loves started ABA therapy in the 1960s. On Wikipedia, it says that Avar Loves and Bernard Rimland created the Autism Society also in the 1960s. But now if you go to the Autism Society's main page, they only list Bernard Rimland. This makes me wonder if they are trying to distance themselves a little bit from ABA therapy, which I talk about further on in the video.
Like, I'm not trying to spread misinformation here. Like, I really thought I found that information, and that really kind of stuck with me and made me want to hesitate whether or not to join this event. But then I read over the event, like what was provided. And again, like the parents who have to use ABA because that's all their choices, this event sounded like an amazing opportunity for my family. And I didn't want to not go to an amazing event because of like a stickler on, one of their, things. Like, you have to weigh, like, a lot of times autistic people are very black and white, literal thinkers, and we can get really hung up on one thing. And I'm like, I have to look at the bigger overarching picture. So we went to the event. The event was amazing. I am so excited about it. I'm going to tell you more about it in a second here. But before I did this video, now that I've had more time, I actually did a little bit more looking into the Autism Society and the Autism Society of Oregon. And their stance on ABA is a little bit similar to mine, basically. They're saying that here's some resources for ABA if it's the right choice for you. But they are like, we're not going to tell you the best way to manage your autism, or like, I don't remember their exact language. Hold on, let me see real quick. Okay, so their language is, to the maximum extent possible, the Autism Society believes informed decisions should be made by the individual with autism and their caregivers in partnership with a multidisciplinary team. No service or intervention is likely to meet the needs of every individual with autism. Selection of a program, service, or intervention method should be used on a comprehensive assessment of the person's ability and interest, and we believe services should be outcome-based to ensure they meet the individualized needs of the person with autism. I prefer, again, first-person language. So I would say the individual needs of the autistic person. That's like a beige flag there. I don't really like person-first language, but there are some autistic people who do. So, I would call that a beige flag, not a red flag. But anyway, it goes on to, basically say that they don't have a necessarily black and white stance on ABA, and I can really respect that and appreciate that. So it's funny. So I went into the event not really sure where they stood on ABA, but then also telling myself this event is not about ABA. So let's let that go and focus on what this particular event can provide as a support for my family. So what is this event that I keep talking about? It was so awesome. So again, they partnered with United Airlines, and they were able to let families sign up and do a mock experience at the airport. So we came in, and you could bring your luggage. Like, families, a lot of kids with younger children brought their strollers. They brought empty suitcases, like you were going to the airport. One mom, because I asked about this, or after I signed up, I shared it with my local autism mom group. And one mom said they'd been before, and they said, please tell your child that you're not actually going on a trip, because she forgot to do that step. And her child had a meltdown without understanding that they weren't actually going on a trip. They thought, understandably, when they had suitcases and were going on an airplane and then they didn't actually go anywhere, I could see how that led to a big upset. Anyway, so we've flown before. We didn't really need that like full experience. So the main reason that we were interested in going is because we have never flown with Milo, my son's service dog, and he's still a pretty new service dog. Service dogs, he's graduated, he's a full service dog, but still there's some things that like you can't practice until you get into it, because without this opportunity, our first time to fly with him would be our first time to fly with him. I mean, it still is because we didn't actually take off, but we still got to go through security. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the main reason why, like I said, was to give a training experience to Milo. So we went and like we checked in at the desk, we got our boarding passes, then we were able to go through security and learn how we would go through security with a service dog. The whole thing was legit. We had to take off our shoes, like do the whole thing. Went through security, and this is, the airport was fully functioning this morning. So we had our own line, but all the other, everybody else was like actual people flying on trips, right? Like it's not like the airport shut down for us. I think they did put us in one of the more quiet hallways, or what do you call the, not pathways, A, B, C, D. I don't know. I think we were one of the quieter ones. But anyway, so we did that. Oh, and they gave us these like little, what they called little passports, and they had stamps. And so at each section, so when we got our boarding passes, we got a stamp. When we went through security, we got a stamp. And then our airport has like a play area for little kids. So we went and visited that, even though we didn't need it. We got our stamp. Then there's a sensory room. We didn't end up going to that because that was in a different part of the airport. We could have, like we were allowed to explore wherever we wanted. But I'm really curious about the Portland Airport sensory room, what it looks like. I really wanted to go so I could tell y'all about it. But again, I'm still recovering from foot surgery, and this was more walking than I've done in a long time. So when I found out the sensory room was like, pretty far away, I'm like, my kids weren't really interested in it, so it's fine. Because we have a service dog, we found the potty area at the airport to show Milo. That's something we need to work on him with training. He does not like the faux grass. We bought a patch of faux grass to put in our backyard on some rocks to try to train him to it. We're having difficulties with that. He does not want to be on the fake grass. So we showed it to him at the airport, though. He almost did. Like, he lifted a leg, but then he's like, no, this is not cool. So he didn't. And I've heard that's actually pretty common for a lot of service dogs. So we got to work on that one. Anyway, and then they called our group, which, the Autism Society group, and they had a plane for us to board. And it was really cool because the little kids, my kids could have done it too. They just weren't interested, could actually go and look into the cockpit. I'm like, I want to see. I was a kid. I wanted to see it. But by that point, there was a pretty big line for the cockpit. So I was like, it's fine. Our main focus was to see how Milo was going to be able to tuck under the seats, what it actually would look like for us. We got to sit at the bulkhead, and then we tried a row further back. He's going to have to get pretty small. Like, a good thing he can donut. There's a lot of autism service dogs that are the extra large breeds because they're anchoring dogs. Milo's not an anchoring dog. That's not one of his tasks, but some autistic kids will wear a harness around their waist. And then if they are kids that want to run out into the street or, run away from the parents, their dog is trained to sit. And it's like a big Burmese mountain dog or something like that. And they just and then the kid can't run away. Those dogs would be a lot harder, I think, to travel with on a plane. I'm not sure how it's done, but I'm sure it is. Milo, we call him our noodle. He can get in a pretty small spot. But so that was really good to see how he would do. It took him a couple of tries to back up into the space. So we're going to create some simulation for that at home. We're not flying with him anytime soon, but this was just a really good opportunity. And so we wanted to take it. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is I'm so excited that the Portland, Oregon airport and other airports in the United States are finally getting on board with the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard Program. I think this started in England. It's been, because I have a friend in England who's told me about it, and I think that's where it started, and it's been there for many years. But it's for any hidden disabilities, not just autism. But if you wear this at the airport, then security and airport staff know that you have a hidden disability. You might need more time. Might need more explanations about what's going on. Hold on, my cat. So I'm really glad that we got these. So the next time that we do travel, we'll be able to put these on our necks and hopefully have a little bit more support. And because I get very, very anxious going through security every single time. So, wearing this, hopefully the people who are running security will understand why I'm like flustered. And my husband, I don't know if he'll wear this one or not. He did on Saturday, but we are lower support needs autism. Like, I still am appreciative of this. Like, I get very, very anxious at an airport. This, I think, will help me feel better because I know that other people will look at me and not expect me to be performing like a neurotypical person. This is awesome. But yet I still can do all the things that I need to do by myself. But I love the language that they chose for this. Like, me personally, I think this is adorable. It says proud to support the sunflower, and I'm a sunflower. It also helps that sunflowers are like one of my absolute favorite flowers and have been my entire life. So he has a support person lanyard, and then me and my kids have the other ones. And then, where'd it go? The event also gave us these like little backpacks with noise damping earmuffs. Like, these are really good quality. This whole thing was free. I don't need these, so I'm actually giving them away to moms in my local autism group because we have our own, there's Echo, our own ear gear that we have. But then it came with a couple different fidgets. It came with, this is kind of odd, but it came with a PDX avian field guide. Like, I don't know, but it's really cool. I like it. It's really high quality, and I'm excited to look at this even closer. It came with some like a little. It was right after Halloween, so a little coloring book and some crayons, and it was just a really cool, free kit that every participant got. We also had vouchers to be able to eat a hamburger at the airport that day, and the thing that I really appreciate, and that I felt like the Autism Society of Oregon understood autism by this event. Like, you can read all this stuff on the websites and stuff like that, but I felt seen as an autistic person by this event. I felt like they understood that we do so much better if we have the opportunity to see, explore, touch, feel, understand, ask questions. They had flight attendants on the plane that were so amazing and answered all of my questions, like questions that I never felt comfortable to ask before because it'd be weird, or like, why would you need to know that? And then I've flown lots of times, so I'm getting emotional because hold on. It's okay. God, I didn't know this one was gonna make me cry, guys. I'm getting very emotional because it's hard to speak right now, sorry. Like I said, I'm late diagnosed autistic. I've struggled with these things my entire life, but I always had to fake it and just push through. And I would get very anxious at airports because they're loud, there's sensory, there's rushing going on. But this organization understood how stressful flying could be for an autistic person, and they went out of the way to help little kids and even adults, like even me. Like, I was a autistic participant at this event. Like, it's also really good to see an event that isn't focused just on kids. Yes, most of the people there were young toddlers. There was some like 10, 12-year olds. But myself as an autistic person who's flown before still was acknowledged that I had a right to be there and participate and ask my questions. Dang it. Well done, guys. Spending an entire life being gaslit, being told that your concerns and feelings aren't valid, being told that you're worried about nothing, being told to just figure it out as you go when that's not how your brain works. All of these things, and then being seen and being seen for how my brain processes and understands information, it was just such a validating experience. So I really want to thank the Autism Society of Oregon for putting on this event. All of the, I don't know if they were paid or if they're volunteers. Like I said, there's more I want to research about this society, about this organization. But my personal lived experience with them has been a very positive one. And so I think that counts for a lot. But all the, like I said, participants there, I mean, not participants, but all the either the paid personnel or volunteers, I don't know which, were so patient, understanding, and informative. And overall, it was just a really great event. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I left out. Oh my gosh. And I'm glad I got to share this with you. I don't, if you're local and if PDX is an airport that you use, I think I've heard they put this event on twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And I don't know if other airports or other chapters of the Autism Society put this on at local airports around the country. That might be something you want to look into if you yourself are autistic or you have an autistic child that's nervous about flying. They don't always have an airplane available. We were really lucky that they had one available for us to be able to do that part of it. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much again for watching, and until the next one. Bye.